Hi everyone, so this is the shell that we are making today. This is the finished piece that we've done, and this is using two pencils of different weights, a rubber and either a blender or your finger, or your fingers, those fingers. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you in a bit. Hi everyone, so today we will be drawing a shell, a clam shell. I will have already shown you the finishing item for the wonders of video. We're going to go through this hour session drawing the shell, and then you should have already seen now the shell that we did. We are using pencil today, and we are using ink. So these are the pencils I have. I have a HP, a 2B and a 4B, and this is really just to give us a little bit more definition to our pencil work. As long as you've got, so say you have maybe a HB, a 2H and a 2B, that would be fine. You would start with your 2H rather than a HB, because if you remember, as we've talked before about pencils go from B to H. The H means hardness, so it means that they don't transfer as much onto the paper. And also a good tip is, if you are putting pencil marks down and you're pushing the pencil and it's indenting the paper, it means that you need to go to a softer pencil, which means you will get more graphite onto your paper. So a softer pencil is a B pencil. They get softer as the number goes up. So 2B here and 4B here. The 2B is harder than the 4B. If you press with I will go through and show you stroke by stroke. So the 4B is a softer pencil. You can go up to 5B, which I've got here, and you can go even higher, and that just means that the stroke that you put on the paper will leave a lot more graphite, which will make it a lot darker. Okay, so as long as you have 2 or 3 different types of pencil, that's fine. Even if you don't, even if you just have your HB and a finger, that might probably be enough today to actually get what we want. I have also got, you can see here, it's a blender pencil. This here, this finger is probably just as good as a blender pencil. It's just a slightly bit more accurate. So if you haven't got one of those, that's fine. You can use your finger. I've also got, if we need it, a white pencil for highlights. Hopefully if we can work our way around this shell, we won't need it for highlights, but I've got it for backup anyway. But you should really only need this is an ink pen, a Pilot pen. This is a uni pen, or you can see it there. This is a 0.3, 0.5, 0.1 is fine. You can even use a black biro. Also, we need our trusty rubber and a pencil sharpener in case things go a bit wrong. So, here we go. Let's start with our HB pencil. And we're going to make some lines. I might have to swap to a slightly darker pencil, but what I'm going to say to you as we go through is, now use your B pencil or your darker pencil. Okay, just going to move those to one side. This is a little piece of paper I have. This is only a tiny A5 little bit of paper. It's fine if you use another type. So we are going to start with, if you can see that, yes, just about. Wait, no, not really. Okay, let's do better. There you go. That's it. It's better. So you can see my prelim lines as well, hopefully. Nearly. There we go, so that's a bit better. So this is our first line we are putting in. So we're putting this kind of shape in. And then we're going to come out with that type of shape. That's our first. So it was like a tick. And then we're going to do similar on this side. I'm going to turn my piece of paper around. There we go. They don't have to be absolutely equal. Let's face it, no shells are. So this is what we're starting with. And then from there, you can either use a ruler or your pencil. And to go from there to about there. And then we're going to measure it with our pencil, take it across. And there. We've got 2 points then that we can use to get our shell shape. This is our shell shape. There's our shell shape. Now you can see my little prelim lines there, hopefully. Can't, I'm going to go dark on them now. So then what we need to do is our radiation lines. So if we start there. Yeah. They are kind of like, if you think about when you do a sunshine. So this is what these lines kind of are. So that's how our lines radiate. They radiate from this centre point here. So if we were to draw all the line in, which I will do for you to give you a better idea, that's how the lines radiate. Okay, and then we have little cross pieces here. So that's our basic shell shape. So then we need to think about which way our light is coming. Now our light is going to come from this direction. So I often say, when you're drawing and you're thinking about your light position, a lot of the time, if you can't remember which way it is, put a little arrow in pencil, and then that will make you remember which way your light is going. So what we're going to do first, because our light is coming in this way, we're going to rub out some of these lines, just some of them. Okay, so now we have our surrounding line, our scalloped, our indentation lines. What we're going to do, just going to shut the curtains across, bear with me a second. Very bright lights over here today. Ordinarily I would just swap to a different pencil, but because we're using shades of pencil, I don't really want to do that because it's going to confuse matters. So as we've got our lines here, we are then going to create our scallops. So you've got your lines here, so you're going to make your shape of each scallop. So you're going in to where your line is, then out into where your line is, and out. Now these lines don't want to be smooth because you think it's a scalloped edge. So we want them scalloped. We actually want them quite rough. Okay, so we can get rid of that little guideline there and that little guideline there. We are going to have some little lines here as well. And from here again, we're going to just create more of a jagged line here, here, just create our scalloped edge. Now as we've created that, we are going to now as I do these little lines, you're going to press and pull, press and pull. So it's like almost like when you're doing a tick, and at the end of the tick you're taking the pressure off your pencil. So it's push and flick. And this is what we're going to do all the way around here. So all those little indentations. And then when you get up to one of your scalloped lines, you're taking your pencil a little bit weightier. Yeah? Get closer. So heavier weight, lifting off. And this is what we're going to do around here. Now, as we think and we go further in, this is our darker side. And this is why I'm showing you on this side first, because we're going to be putting quite a bit of shading on this side. So it's easier if we go from this side to the light side, because you will have got the hang of your strokes and the darker side that's more forgiving than the lighter side. If we started with the lighter side, you'll realise maybe if your strokes are too hard, you can't convert it on this side. So if we start this side, which is the darker side, so our scalloped edge, I'm going to take, now remember that's going to be down here. You can hear the pencil. Yeah, you can hear the pencil. These don't have to be 100% accurate, because a shell isn't accurate. A shell is a shell. So now we've got back up to that next line. So we're pressing down a little bit harder, and just in this area here, just going to press down a little bit harder. We're still just using our HB pencil. We haven't swapped to any other pencil yet. And this exercise really shows you what you can do with one pencil and pressure. And pressure is so important when you're doing pencil drawings. It's being able to remember how much pressure you should be putting on a pencil, because if you put a pencil, as we've done, quite hard pressure there, and then we lift off the pressure, and we lift, we carry on lifting, we carry on lifting, we carry on lifting. You think they're all the different colours just out of a HB pencil. It's a lot of colours that you tones that you can get. Yeah? So let's carry on. So this is again and then as we've got to that line, using lines, and then we're going to get to this next line here. So we give him the beans. And remember that this shadow will fall slightly. Give it beans. So using those strokes, we are taking our strokes right into there. Okay, how are we getting on? We're doing okay. Fabulous. And keep going to the next one. So, just strokes. And we'll get up to this line here. Again, it's going to be harder. Taking that in. There we go. This is the magic of strokes, that's all it is. That's all we're doing. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4 in. This one, if you think as the light's hitting it, this here is going to get, that's going to be darker, it's going to be lighter. So again, we're getting to this point here. Let's kind of put that dark line in, but only to about there. We're not going to go all the way down, because you think of a scallop shell. That bit is quite rounded there. So that's how our shading is going to start to carry on. And our little strokes. And then we are pretty much dead centre here, so we are going to have a lot more light. So as we put our little strokes in, and we get to there, I'm going to stroke that down. Only to there, because that is where our light is going to start to hit. So we get to our next edge, and our light is going to be coming up here. So as we put all these lovely strokes in all the way here, we're going to stop these strokes about here. So let's get these in. And then obviously that is going to be still a little bit darker. Not a great deal, just a little bit. And these strokes coming in. To here, and our light is hitting here, so although we can skip to this one just to give ourselves kind of an idea, that's the idea for there. And then here got a lot more light here, so we are only going to have these little strokes kind of arching their way there. Get those in. And this one, the same thing, very little, very little. Now already, just with a single pencil, we're cracking on here, aren't we? So this guideline now, I just want you to just, with your rubber, I don't want you to scrub it, I want you to gently lift it up, single direction, lift it up, there we go. Lifting that off. And then we want just a little bit of shade here, and I mean just the touch as we go in here with our little guide, our mental guide of how dark and how light we use our pencil. Just a touch. Just a touch. And then over here, we want a little bit more, don't we? Let's just go across this guideline. Let's just give it a little bit more, pencil. There we go. Okay, So from there, I'll use my finger, because I think using my finger, because I have got a fancy blender. You can use your fancy blender, just like that. But I'm going to use my finger. And see all these lovely strokes that we've put in? We're going to use our finger. We're going to start at the darker section, and we're just going to soften them up slightly. Just soften them up very slightly. And that's going to give the whole section of that a nice tone. Just go my finger, use our finger. We don't want to use our finger here, because that bit needs to stay bright white. So we're just going to use our finger here. Just soften it up ever so slightly. Okay. Now we're going to use our rubber. Now this sounds crazy because we've just put a load of tone in, but what we want to do is just take a touch out. So we are going to, with our rubber, take out what we've just put in, but only for tiny little bits. Tiny little bits. Okay. Fabulous. So now, we've used the HB pencil and we've pretty much got that cracked, haven't we? I'd be quite happy giving that to someone. This is what I've done. But what we want to do now is go on to your darker pencil. So I'm picking up my 2B. This is my 2B here, because I've been using a HB. So I've gone a couple of shades lighter. If you started with a 2H, this is where it gets confusing. If you started with a 2H, you can now move on to a HB, because it's a couple of shades darker. What you need is a pencil that's a couple of shades softer than the pencil you've just been using. So I'm going to a 2B. Okay? And then what we're basically going to do is go around the whole thing again. But what we need to do with our darker pencil is start to get in. You think of a shell, it's got these beautiful lines up, hasn't it? But then it also has striations across the shell. And we're going to get those in now, as well as giving ourselves a bit more shading where we need our shading. Okay, so here's our 2B. Just starts dropping it on the floor. Here we go. So we'll start in our darker areas. Now what you can do, if you haven't been using a 2B before, as we did with our HB pencil, let's just start by pushing it down and then lifting our pressure. Now you can see the difference between a HB and a 2B. The 2B is so much darker. The HB, the 2B is so much darker. So we're going to use our 2B or whichever pencil you have, and then we're going to start putting a little bit more detail in with this darker. So we've got little lines. You think about the little lines coming up there. We're not using any soft pencil detail. I want these, you think of a shell, and you think these type of action marks, yeah? Little rough, not soft. We've done the soft. We're going in for rough now. So we're going with these. And that's what we're going to do here. So you've got your lovely little pencil marks now. And you're going to make the edges with this pencil darker. Again, what we have here is our striations tend to come about here. So if we can use our pencil, we can take these across. And little striation marks. And keep going all the way around like a rainbow, so it's that shape. And little marks. All the way around. They are actually, if you looked at them, like that type like U's all together, because they're following the ridges of the shell. So what we can put is a couple of them just up there, maybe there, here. And then we have quite a few. So if we start this on, now we're thinking about more shadow because we're using a darker pencil now. If we take this down to here, and this one's going up. So we're using quite a hard pressure. And then we've got this, and then here we need to put again little lines. And this is our darker side. So we're giving it go. All little lines, that's all we're doing. Nothing fancy. There we go. So you can see the difference between using a HB and a 2B. Quite a big difference. Gives you a lot more depth, a lot more shade. So then we're on to our next piece now. Here again, this line you can give possibly the hardest amount of pressure for that line, and then following the lines that we've already put on. Think of our M's and our U's. So at the end here, they're going to be M's, but then here, they're U's, because that is the shape of the shell. We are going to take a couple of lines that way, and we want a bit of shade there. So again, we're going to use a lot more pressure. And then the next one across. So we've got 1, 2, 3. This one again. Take that line. Oh, sorry, down. We can always edit these lines where they point, when you've done the whole lot and think, oh, that's too far down. We can always edit that later, so don't worry too much about it. So then with this shade, we want probably to about there. So we give it a bit more pressure. And then more pressure at the top here. Let's get some M's in. Line them up with the lines that you put in. There we go. And the next one. Again, you're ahead of me. I'm taking that line, that dark line, or the lines that you put in. Put a few little striations, I think, across here. You can put them in, you don't have to put them in. And then let's get some M's in. A bit of shadow there. We need a bit of shade here. Now, don't be frightened. If you want to soften it up using your finger, the next one is here. Okay, this line, but this line I think we're stopping it around here. So I'm going to take that up. Again, striation lines there. going to draw about here, darker colour. Get some of our darker lines in. Following the lines that we put in with our lighter pencil and our letter M's, joining our lines up. There we go. So we're kind of going across now to the lighter areas, but there will still be, so we use our rule of thumb. So that's our next one. So that is going to finish kind of around to the point here where we put our little striations in. So take these down. Oh, it's like way out. Okay, little letter M's, joining up our little lines, and then these need to be just slightly dark at the top, because we're coming to the point where we're going to be a little bit lighter, so we're just going to give that a little bit more shadow there, just to kind of there. Again, if you remember last week, I was talking about if you struggle to see the light and shade of something, to screw up your eyes. Now, if you screw up your eyes and look at your shell and you think, oh, okay, I should really maybe put a bit more shade in there. Let's just put a little bit more shade in there. A little bit more in there. There we go, just as we carry on drawing our shell. And then this one, we're obviously getting to the lighter area now. So we go to our next big radius line. Radius line, I don't know. This teacher was shouting me for not remembering. So we're just kind of popping it there. And then we're following our lines, our lovely lines that we popped in. There is not very much shade and shadow on these sections now. We just need to bump some lines in. Mustn't forget letter M's at the top. And then we're on to our next bit. So again, a line. And then again, follow on our line. So you think we're just going to put a tiny bit of shade around the top, because we're going to be quite light there. So again, just a tiny bit there, not a great deal. And then take the lines. Down. And we need our little letter M's at the top. Add them all together. And we are to here. So the light's hitting that, so we're not going to have shadow between our sections, what looks like sunrise section. So what we need to do here, kind of just give ourselves a little bit of shade with our pencil, just every now and again. Our M's, tiny little M's, just as important there. Nick there. And then here there's going to be very little shade, very little. Just maybe put a little striations there, just a touch. And this last one, again, pretty similar as that one. And little lines, and letter M's. So then let's carry these little marks all the way to the edge. And then we need to carry, let's get some more in here. I think just so we can see. This isn't just a blob of white, as I was saying before. This is the point now where we are going to keep on with this pencil. And just now look at what we've caught. And if it needs a touch more, we give it a touch more. So with this darker pencil, as we did here, we're now over here. So all we've done is M's and U's and little lines. We've done M's and U's and little lines, and we've created a shell. Just with M's and U's and little lines. With 2 weights of pencil. Pretty cool, hey? So now we can have a rest, we can have a look at it, and we can think, I'll just soften those little lines up, I think. Just a tiny bit. And do you know what? We're not going to use an ink pen today. I don't think it needs an ink pen. I really don't. So let's get a little bit more shade in. Just to a couple of these sections of might need a bit more. And again, Not a crime to use your finger, soften it off. Very important that you don't feel, because I was always told not to use, because it's a loser's way out of blending. It isn't a loser's way out of blending. If it gives you a soft line, it gives you a soft line. Use it. Use it as one of those extra things that you've got in your little art knowledge toolkit that makes you that little bit more confident with the pencil, because you know you can just rub that line slightly and you think, you know what, it just needs a little bit more. I'm just going to give it a little bit more. I'm going to rub the line. That's all it needs sometimes. Just that little bit of confidence. So there's our shell. I reckon we've done quite well today with that. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Next week we're going to carry on with our beach theme, so we'll have to think of something else to do. But thank you very, very much for joining me, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.